Hey there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for DogeCoin. DogeCoin, even though it has 2 consecutive weeks of price drop, but then it's still well within the upward support trend line and is heading towards the time point that we talked about previously. So let's quickly take a look at how much it has evolved and how much closer we are to the time point where a breakout would happen. Here, this is the weekly chart. Previously, we put in this tag and asked the question, is it a sign of strength? And that probably is, given it has returned, and I would say this behaved similar or almost exactly as what we had back in beginning or like mid-July. So there's leg up and then 2 legs down. We've got this leg up beginning of the month and then 2 legs down. And what to expect next is, assuming the price stays above this white line over here as well as this yellow dashed slope over here, there is a very tiny triangle here pointing towards end of October. So by then, I believe it will be earlier than end of October that the price will break out. So hopefully it doesn't break below the support trend line and heads towards this side, towards the other tip. So while there is a tip at this point around mid-November, the more important is this cross right there around this horizontal resistance level that the price got rejected currently in the past 2 weeks, and also this upward trend slope. So that time point in early December is very key, because this is like a big ascending triangle that's going on. Remember, this is the weekly time frame, not the daily. So if it really happens in a way that it's an ascending triangle, this triangle, and also the Bollinger Band corner squeeze is technically happening right now, I consider this as started already. The purple line has been within the orange for long enough, the top line. The bottom line here has been with the orange close enough for a couple of weeks already. So I consider a squeeze is going on. So when a squeeze happens and finally releases the squeeze force, that's when big price swings will happen. You see what happened right over here after a period of squeeze. So this is what we're waiting for, and the release of squeeze force is the moment that we're waiting to see. And combining these two, assuming it's going to trade narrow in the next few weeks, that's when we get to a point where we've got this double ascending triangle. But more importantly, like I said, it's the yellow one. So let's remove these for now, and according going back to the Wyckoff method, that's why I say this chance of going through the PSY and is like eventually to buying climax is still having 75% chance, while for heading towards like a lower level for another test, it's not completely zero chance, but given this trend line remains intact, this is less likely. So enough for big picture. Let's go to the daily, the smaller time window. The squeeze happened and we had a swing, and if it trades narrow, like I said, even the daily chart will show a squeeze. This up thrust is confirmed, second test also confirmed. So these tags we put in, let's say they are pretty much all confirmed. So we have to always put in 3 or 4 tags to make sure we are able to come back and check in the next session to see whether they have happened, because weekly time frame happens slowly, but daily, if we want to plug in the Wyckoff patterns, it's going to be real crazy in a week. Multiple stages can happen. So this is only the high level. I would actually move it here just to make things easier, because you see this level is actually somewhere close to what we have right there. This sign of weakness back in beginning of September. Just that the price got support from this line doesn't mean we don't count this as a sign of weakness. So if it really continues to go up, that's when the upthrust of the distribution will show up eventually. Just checking if there's anything else that we have missed. The time point, beginning of November, pretty much the same, and assuming it hasn't break out by then, like the entire October, if it really trades within this narrow range, you see it's getting like more narrow when we get along like to the end of October. So below 25 cents, but above this yellow trend line, that's where the narrow trading range is going to happen if there's no crazy news until the time that it finally breaks out. Yeah, so again, breaking out to the upside or downside on just the only two options where I tagged 75% and 25%. So you see these two percentages, right? There's one thing that it can break out, but then it bounces off the white and then trades sideways. That we can include in the 25% possibility range until it gets to the point where this white line crosses this, this dashed line crosses this solid line. That's further down the line around mid-January. So it's still too early to talk about it. Just focus on these two triangles, these earlier time points, early November or late October, and then eventually beginning of December. So those are two key time points that we can get from DogeCoin chart right now. Thanks for joining me today for DogeCoin session. See you tomorrow.